Hello, internet, YouTube, everybody out there. My name is Lexi the First, and thank you so much for joining us for the first ever Gotham City Tonight episode. I am here with Ryan D. Right this side, Ryan. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
This side, yes. Hi.
Okay.
Yes, I'm so stoked that we're finally doing this. For those who don't know us, we've been talking about doing this for, gosh, it feels like since I guess
At
fall
least
of
a year.
last year. Yeah, like it's been pretty close, and so now we are finally getting around to it. We're finally doing it, and we thought, what better time to do it than San Diego Comic-Con weekend?
There was a lot of fun stuff that came out already from this weekend. I mean, it's getting started. It's kicking off. There's a lot happening in the comic universe always. So yeah, I'm just excited. Just kind of give you guys a general overview because this is our very first episode. This is going to be a space for Ryan and I. It's not just comics. It really is the Bat universe through movies, through comics, through toys, through anything else, animated shows, maybe live action shows, we'll see, and all those sorts of things. To kind of talk about it, we'll probably end up talking about, other heroes. We'll probably end up talking about Marvel because these things don't exist in a bubble. It's a big culture, and we'll just talk about things, I have no doubt. But we're really, really excited. This is a space that we want to be inclusive, whether you're a new fan or an old fan, whether you're a member of the queer community or another marginalized group that hasn't felt represented or welcomed in the past. That is something that we are very passionate about remedying here and making sure, because this is it's a fan base and it's a story universe that has a lot of diversity in it. A lot of it is hidden and hard to find, and a lot of it needs to be called out. So that's what we're going to
do. And comics, even in general, I think, are just becoming more diverse, more welcoming. And it's not just even within its characters and its product, but it's the people also making the product, the writers and the artists themselves. So as we see more of that from the talent, we're going to see more of that in the books, and we're hopefully going to see more of that in the fan base. And that's just something that we just want to look forward to and celebrate and welcome onto this this bandwagon that we have built for so many years. So there's enough room for everybody as far as I'm concerned. So
yeah, because there is a lot out there. There is a lot of Batman to consume in the world. So There's definitely room. There's something for everyone.
Yes, I agree. And that should probably take us right to the first thing we kind of really wanted to talk about and get in. First, I do want to acknowledge the passing of a legendary writer of Batman, the Alan Grant. He was the co-creator of Tim Drake. If anyone's probably got these issues kind of hanging around, or you probably know who Tim Drake is. I mean, he's been around for 30 years now at this point, and I know that's crazy to sound like he's been around for so long. And he became an iconic character, a fan favorite. He's come and gone and floundered, and he's been rebooted, refreshed, killed, come back, just like any other sidekick. But Alan Grant did a lot of. If you started reading comics around the time that Batman Returns and Batman animated series came out, if you didn't know who he was, you probably do know his work. If animated series or Returns was your gateway at that time. So it's sad to hear about his passing, but he is being very well remembered. Very a lot of nice things being said about him on Twitter and all that and social media. So I just wanted to give a shout out because we're going to get into a lot of Tim talk today. He's kind of he's our dude.
Tim's he's the current Robin right now. It's him. He's the one holding the mantle in the continuity right now. So can't avoid it, really.
And his continuity is a little bit of a mess. And I feel like it's kind of been kind of since Damian kind of debuted. You kind of thought if you were reading comics at that time, for those who were not, like, there was Tim and kind of only Tim, because Red Hood hasn't come back yet. There's Dick Grayson was already well established as Nightwing at this point, already doing his own thing, already had his own title. He was already his own established hero. So by the time, Damian came in, it was like that whole we see what's happening here. And he's about to get replaced by something younger, something newer, something fresher, something a little more edgy.
A little more murderous.
a little more murderous, right? Because Tim's a nerd, right? Tim kind of
Mhm.
like he's that guy that studies, and he's the detective, and he's the geek of the
Mhm.
family, and it's he you could he's had his time, I guess. I'm actually don't even know how long Robins usually run for outside of Dick Grayson, who was like for decades,
Yeah.
and then
I
now they
definitely
kind of seem
think
like
I think almost because Tim was established as like from the get-go. I mean, he's the kid who became Robin by blackmailing Batman into letting him be Robin, right? So I feel
more or
like the thing
less.
with like Dick Grayson obviously had forever because comics just didn't really change and grow at the rate that they grow nowadays. They were much more consistent. That's been exponential. And then Jason Todd was a character like Dick and Jason, they came in so young with so much room to grow. Like Jason was this angry street urchin
Mhm.
kid who had so much learning to do. Dick was this like circus kid who needed to grow up. Tim came in pretty established, like in who he was already. And like he was still young, he still had growing to do, but he almost like wasn't set up to he was set up to help Batman grow. He was the first one who really like was set up to be like, you are here to be a catalyst for something for Batman, as opposed to
Right.
kind of the other way
And to help
around.
Batman heal as well, because it
Yeah.
actually wasn't that long ago, or in comic time, since since Jason was murdered,
Yeah.
right? So, and it's been really interesting to see how Tim's kind of like grown in all his, because he's also the first Robin to get his own ongoing series.
Mhm.
He's about to get his own series again. Uh, like he's kind of that
Yeah.
that guy. And I mean, like, sure, Damian's had his books too, but they've always kind of felt more like miniseries because they always kind of keep.
Absolutely.
But that's comes at the time too, because not only is Damian's comics constantly getting rebooted back to number one, DC as a whole is having this problem of
Yeah.
continually going back to number
Yes.
one.
Well, and I think with Damian, he keeps getting these little mini series because DC has an endgame vision for Damian. And it's an endgame vision that I hate and hope they're going to change because I think it's
Right.
dumb. It's fine. You guys are the professionals, not me, but stop. But I really think that's part of why they can't just have this ongoing run with him. Because you have an ongoing
Mhm.
run, weird shit happens. No matter how good the
Yep.
writer is, no matter how good the team is, you have an ongoing run and weird stuff happens eventually. And so they have to contain him to these miniseries because they are leading up to him, going back to the League of Assassins. If he does become Batman, he's going to be a dark Batman, or in Batman Beyond, he's running the League of Assassins and giving Terry hell. So they have an end game for him in mind. Whereas with Tim, they don't respectfully don't know what the heck they're doing with Tim.
Right.
Damian was 17 when Damian was 10. Damian is now 14, leaving home, giving up the mantle, and Tim is still 17 and coming back to Robin. Like that feels disrespectful to Tim.
Well, for Tim as well, though, he always made that statement, and this goes way back as well. He said he will never become Batman. He will always be
Mhm.
Robin. So even if he
And
was
that's
an
the thing,
adult,
yeah.
he would be an adult Robin. Like,
Yeah.
just that's it. That's his
Because he doesn't
mantle.
even
He's
he didn't
taken it.
want to be Red Robin. He never wanted to move on. Like Dick took Robin from him, which is a whole other conversation and is an unfortunate one. But yeah, but Tim has always kind of said he just wants to be Robin. But you kind of felt like that was the opinion of a child, and hopefully he would grow up and be 20 and like the youngest CEO of Wayne Enterprises ever and go, maybe I don't need to still be Robin. Like you kind of want that for him.
You do, and I agree. And it's just like, because when he became Robin, he didn't have that trauma, that catalyst that made him become Robin. He was just smart and a little cocky and figured things out. So he is like, that's what makes him the more like very like more way more different than the rest of them. Like he's always
Mhm.
that kind of like. But you're right. I always did kind of feel like he was going to eventually just outgrow it and not even need a
Yeah.
mantle at all.
Yeah, I actually kind of felt the same way. I mean, he could even step in and do kind of an oracle role, I feel like, and be really
Right.
fantastic at it.
I just want to quickly acknowledge the chat here. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you. He's one of the hosts of Toy Anxiety on Tuesday night at the Yes Have Some
Hello.
podcast show with me. Thank you for checking out the show, even if it's for a quick moment, because I know you're at San Diego Comic-Con right now.
That's so
Bearded Toy
exciting.
Guy. It's okay to be late.
We'll be here for a while.
Yep, it's all good. Don't worry about it. So yeah, it kind of brings us to like now, because we seem to be kind of going through the history of Tim Drake here, because even when Damian came, he kind of just disappeared. New 52 happened. They killed him off for a little bit. Then they brought him back. They kind of started calling. Well, he even before New 52, he was Red Robin for a bit. Then back to Robin, wearing the Kingdom Come.
There was a phase where he was just like the Drake. Like he literally used his actual last name as his hero name.
I know. Like, come on, Bendis. I love you, Bendis, but come on. You know, and he wore that weird brown costume, and the weird justification of him calling himself Drake because, oh, they're really aggressive birds, and I'm just like, but Tim's not an aggressive dude, so I'm just like, what are you doing?
He like really went through a phase there.
He did. So, and I do love the new costume. I think Tim has always been that. Again, he's been that spearheader of those new costumes, those new Robin looks.
Mm-hmm.
I think him and Damian have really kind of like set that standard of like, you know, that cool new Robin look.
Yeah, I think they've definitely also just set the standard, like being, because I feel like Jason's run as Robin before Red Hood was so focused on him, like, sorry, I just saw the chat. That's okay if you're not a Tim Drake fan. We're going to be talking about Tim Drake today because he's the topic of conversation. But yeah, I feel like, you know, Jason's Robin run really was about replacing Dick. Was about like making the world think that Robin hasn't changed. I love the few moments we've had where Jason was actually a redhead who dyed his hair black to try and look like Dick as Robin. Like, you know, those things I thought were really actually cool about Jason's Robin. And then Tim was really the first one that came in and was like, I'm not Jason, I'm not Dick, you just need a Robin. And he's the one who said it doesn't matter who it is. You just need a Robin.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, and he became the guy in the chair for a while too. Like he wasn't, you know, I know like his first appearance, like any other Robin first appearance, you know, he's just kind of doing his thing, does the you know, the jump in to save Batman as every first appearance Robin should have. You know, it was a very similar entrance even for the Chris O'Donnell Robin and Batman Forever. Like those, it's funny how Tim Drake kind of became like. You know, yeah, it was Dick Grayson in Batman animated series, but he looked and kind of acted like Tim.
They have taken a lot from Tim for the animated Dick Graysons, especially recently. They absolutely have. And because I think what's so cool about the Robins is how different and how distinct they are. I get a little butthurt when I see them kind of stepping on each other's toes design-wise sometimes. I'm like, because I think the Bat fam already, like, especially, they all just look so much alike. And sometimes the way they're drawn, like, the only difference is, like, the hairstyle. And even then, sometimes it's not. It's like, so I'm like, you got to, like, give us these, like, defining features for them. Otherwise, they're just one weird feral Robin conglomerate.
Well, that's kind of what happened with Jason and Dick, right? Like, they, like... I remember being just starting to get into comics and being so confused on what was going on. Yeah. Especially like when you're just like first jumping in, because I think I started young. So like we're talking like when I was like 10 years old, and I was just like, you're going in, you're like, oh, that's Robin. But then you're like, and then you're always kind of told like at the schoolyard, you know, oh, they killed Robin, but then who's this Robin? But then you find out you're reading a back issue of what's going on.
Or you like don't realize that there's Batman, but then there's Batman and Robin, but then there's Robin. And it's like all these runs that are like coexisting at the same time, but they're different stories. And it's so confusing. Like it is, like comics are confusing. It's hard keeping up with these mainstream characters that are in 30 different things at once. Like it's difficult.
So even when you try to like, I remember even going like way, way back at one point, and I was just like, what is happening here? And I realized I'm reading like original Earth 2 Batman, not even like Earth 1 like it gets wild, right? It took me years to get that all sorted in my head, and I just like, you know what, I'm just gonna read Robin comics and Nightwing, and that's exactly what I did, right? So it's
absolutely.
And Tim Drake, he was my gateway drug into DC because I was just reading X-Men there for like the longest time, and once I saw that new costume for Robin, I was like, that's my boy.
You're like, there it is.
I claimed, right?
That's what happens. For me, it really was actually just more of like the general Justice League. 'Cause it was Wonder Woman that got me into DC. Like I took one, I mean, as, I don't know if that's like sinful to say on our Batman show, but you know, as for me as like a little girl, like I took one look at her and I went, her. I want to be her. Like I'm that's my person. So I also
we
like,
do that too.
I got so confused. Yeah.
Yep, I did that because again, that was Robin, that was Nightcrawler. That's like you see something, and sometimes you don't even really know the ins and outs of the character yet, but you just see them. Something connects, something clicks, and you're like, that's who I want to be. That's it.
Yeah.
Right?
And you follow them. And for me, like what really helped me when I was first getting, I remember even as a kid was like, because the issues were so confusing. Again, I was just like, so there wasn't as much like internet resources even back then. You couldn't just sit down and be like, oh, let me figure it out. And like, yeah, they said you mostly do the cartoons. Like Justice League Animated was huge for getting me into the comics. Because that's where I started. And after watching just these animes, when I went, oh, I need to go find these comics now, thinking it's like you just find a comic. It's called Justice League. You read issues 1 through 10, and it's easy and it's fun and it's great. And you realize that's not how it works. But the complete graphic novels, like Kingdom Come, probably my favorite DC graphic novel of all time. You know, Frank Miller's Dark Knight run. Yeah, like these made it so much easier for me. And it meant that you weren't really getting the main storyline, but at least you got to know the characters and you got a complete story.
Right. And I think that's like, yeah, I think that like those are all like awesome pickups. Like those are the ones, to me, Kingdom Come is always like an easy recommend. Right? Like so you don't even have to really be to me, you don't have to be into comics to appreciate Kingdom Come, just because it's like it's that Alex Ross painted work. There's a lot of strong social messages that I still think apply today, not just within the mid to late 90s. I think there's just a lot there. I think there's a lot to soak in, and it's just also it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. And the characterization of the Trinity is really fantastic.
Right. And so, yeah, it's absolutely. And it's like, it's great seeing. And to me, I feel like even a lot of characters as they got older, I thought they were depicted appropriately.
Yeah.
So like,
no, absolutely.
Even with Dick Grayson, then for that particular universe is, being Red Robin. And you've got their depiction of that very bitter, angry Oliver Queen Green Arrow.
Yeah.
It's just,
the more like aggressive Wonder Woman, like that old warrior queen Wonder Woman. Love that for her.
Yep. And just Clark Kent going back to the farm, just going back where he knows, and just doing his thing.
Good. It was really brilliant. So yeah, that's what I always honestly recommend when people want to get, I'm like, forget the issues, come back to the issues when you've like taken a moment, like start with some of these complete stories. So you can like even get a feel if you enjoy reading comics. Some people, the graphic, like the structure of it doesn't work with their brain, which is also valid, you know?
Right. Yep. No, it totally is. I get it.
Just start with an origin story. It's fine.
Yeah, just start with that. Nice. But it's like, again, too, like, and like now when I find people have it so much easier to have that, like, that jumping on point, because again, like growing up in the 90s, you kind of like, you have to go to the comic store or the drugstore, the spinner rack, and grab what's there. There were like trades used to be like $40 in the 90s, and $90, like that's like $60 today for a trade, because they were so rare and they didn't print so many. So, but now that's just like, that's your DVD. That's your your trade is like your DVD with bonus features.
Or if you're like me and you have what is it, DC Infinite? It actually has, I found, helped me a lot, even paying just for not even the comic access, but the organization of it. Like being able to like in the app, it's actually really cool. I'm not sponsored or anything, y'all. This is just me trying to be helpful. If you would like some help getting organized like I do.
But if you want to sponsor us.
Yeah, if you'd like to sponsor us, because otherwise my solution is literally like pick a run I'm interested in, go on Wikipedia, read as much as I can up to where they're at now, and then try and jump in and just look things up as I go. But DC Infinite does have a cool thing where like, let's say there's a character you're interested in. So let's say Damian Wayne, just throwing that out there. So let's say you're like, I'm interested in Damian Wayne. You can click on the character and it'll be like, hey, here are his appearances in order. Here's what we recommend. That's actually really cool.
Right? See? Look at that. That's an entry point if I ever heard one. Batman and Robin, 1982 Fisher Price set. Read along. The Case of the Laughing Sphinx. It's funny.
Oh,
The Case of the Laughing Sphinx. I feel like I should even know what that is.
yeah, that's fantastic.
That is
I know,
fantastic. I think
I'm gonna
we're gonna
Google it
have.
right now.
I think we're gonna have to find it, and we're gonna do our own commentary on it.
Yes,
I think that's what we're
we
gonna do.
sure are. Ooh. Oh, that is
Right?
so fun.
Now I just gotta find a cassette player. I bet you anything it's on YouTube somewhere.
Oh yeah, it's gotta be.
It has to be. There's no
It is.
all that stuff
I
is
found
now.
it. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's here right here. It's 40 minutes long, so maybe not this very
Oh
second.
my gosh! So
But
it won't
it's
be
here.
but we're
That's
gonna,
what my son is. So for those of you who don't know, my son is named Damian after Damian Wayne. That's probably how we're gonna put my Damian to bed tonight. Is we're just gonna play this for him.
Yeah. My boy Brandon here, BC DeLorean. Yeah. I did some reading Batman stories after seeing the panel of Batman on a dirt bike in Zero. Dude,
I love
Tom
that.
King, man. Tom King's run. I'm telling you. That's
And I will say, I think that has become a lot more common, even with like the internet and Twitter and those things and Instagram, where people come across someone just sharing a cool panel and people stop and go, I want to read whatever that's from. Like, I want to know about that. I think that's happening a lot more. It's happening to me for sure.
Yeah, because my gateway into comics wasn't actually like, it's funny. It wasn't like Batman 89. Like Batman 89 or even like Superpowers toys, because I had those a lot too when I was a kid, but it was just like they weren't that catalyst to get me reading comics. I saw a magazine called Comic Scene, and it had Jim Lee X-Men on the cover. This was before X-Men #1, so he was still doing Uncanny X-Men at this point. And I was like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
And I begged my parents to get it. It was an expensive magazine for the time. I had to like beg, and they were just like, fuck, shut them up. We'll just get it for them.
Yeah.
They got it for me. And then, and then that was it. It was game over. There was no turning back. Like Marvel cards were coming out soon after. X-Men 92 wasn't that far. Like the animated series, the X-Men #1. Death of Superman was right around the corner. Like I just jumped into comics like right before all the turning points, the major turning points of comics and comics becoming into the mainstream happened.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so right before Batman animated series, like Batman animated series probably got me more reading Batman than I think anything else ever did.
That show still to this day, it just set a bar.
It did.
For live action cartoon, for anything, just for like adapted comic media, that show was a catalyst.
Yes. Oh, dude, I still watch it like at least once a year. I just like on. I pick a weekend and just order pizza and
absolutely
veg out.
This hurts my heart to say, as someone who loves Superman. I love Superman. The Superman animated series did not hit the same way. It was a little rougher.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah, like, and it's art too.
Most
like
people don't even know it ran, that it was a thing that was kind of like coinciding. And there were some cool like crossover movies and stuff and episodes that happened. There was a really weird one where Batman started dating Lois Lane.
Oh my God. Okay, so that's World's Finest. That was like, that was like their big thing. That was their big, like, World's Finest was like when because they did Batman animated series. They stopped doing Batman animated series, brought in the Superman animated series. Then everything went crazy between Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. And they were like, we're going to bring Batman animated series back. I think I even have the Wizard back here where they first talk about it and they show you the first new designs. And they were like, we're going to do the Batman Superman Adventure Hour, or like Batman Superman Adventures. And they were like, the big kickoff for that was that crossover episode, that World's Finest episode. And which to me, it was like, gosh, why wasn't that Batman versus Superman? Because they fight for a hot minute.
Yeah, right? It was like a short misunderstanding, like a hot minute. They're like, and then of course there's the weird thing where like Lois likes Superman, but like Clark can't get her, so she starts dating Bruce Wayne. Then she finds out Bruce Wayne is Batman and dumps him because she doesn't like Batman. And Bruce literally, as he's leaving town, just like turns to Superman and is like, "All right, your turn to give it a try." It's like, damn, it's so
like,
weird.
Dude.
And Bruce was like half dating her because he liked her, half dating her because he was trying to piss Clark off.
I know that's.
But she like sincerely liked him back. She was like gonna she was gonna move back to Gotham with Bruce. It was like serious.
That's gutsy. I would not want to be a reporter in Gotham.
I wouldn't want to be in anything in Gotham. But yeah,
right?
it was. I honestly kind of feel like, and I feel like it's ironic because, like you said, that was when they started trying to do like the superhero buddy dynamic, and I almost think that kind of kicked off like the Batman versus Superman kind of like animosity storyline. Because I mean, it's not that that's never happened before, but it got pretty. It got, I feel like it picked up a lot more after that.
Yes. Yes,
Like they
especially
turned
when
their
you go back
rivalry
and
like into an animosity.
right, and that's why I think I see because I did because I wasn't quite sure how we were gonna go about today's episode because I was like just in case we're like telling people
Are
like
you
hey
implying
this
we
is
did
like
not have a plan? Hold on.
what dude why wouldn't we have a plan? We don't need
Sir.
a plan. We do
Hold
not need a
on.
plan. But see, but my favorite like kind of Batman Superman stories is this, right?
Oh, me too. I know
Double
we've talked
date
about this before. Oh,
because
that. Mm,
here they're friends. They're just friends
yeah,
hanging out, right?
best friends. They
And doing
are
fun things and playing
canonically each
baseball.
other's everything. Yeah.
Yes. Right?
They are
they're
like,
just just
yep, Steven loves this one too. Can I do that thing where I click on it and it shows? Oh, I can do the thing. Sorry, guys, we're learning.
yeah,
I'm learning today.
I gave you admin privileges. Don't worry about that.
I have privilege. That's new.
You have I used my privilege to give you privilege.
Yes, that's all I've ever wanted. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
no,
what I
it's
do.
true. Yeah,
But
exactly. That's the one where they dress as each other, where they talk
Dresses
about
each other,
where they
go for
confess
ice
their
cream.
love. Yeah.
They
And I joke, like, I love Lois and Selena. I love them. I love them with Clark and Bruce, but also Clark and Bruce are married. Like they just are. Like canonically, that's why Bruce can't marry Selena because he's already married to Clark. The way the comics do their relationship, it's so fun. And I sincerely love them platonically, like them and Diana, like that Trinity dynamic, I think is so beautiful as like the friends that they are. But like you have these scenes in the comics where like you literally have someone like saying they're going to take what Clark loves most and like they're targeting Lois. Then the last second they turn and shoot Bruce because they're like, just kidding. The person that they literally are describing, they're like, the person Superman can't live without. The person Superman tells everything. The person Superman tells most. And literally they swerve around Lois and shoot. And they're like, it's Batman. And I'm just like,
yeah. But even Dick treats Superman like his other dad.
100%. Well, Superman is Dick's also favorite superhero.
Yes. But still,
Superman is absolutely Dick's other dad.
Yes. Like, because it's just, I know they try to like play on the whole thing of like, they survived World War II together. So of course, why wouldn't they be? But
naturally.
but like, there's so many issues of Nightwing where he goes to Superman for guidance where he can't necessarily get the same advice like from Bruce because Bruce is so just like
Bruce
is so Bruce, right?
Yep. And then even you have like back before he was aged up, that's it, I've started something and I'm not sorry. But when like Damian and John were the super sons, it was basically like Bruce and Clark and their two sons.
Yeah. And I always think that's great. I think every Robin needs a Superboy as well, even though like Dick didn't have one necessarily, but
no, Dick had Superman as well. Clark was Robin's super,
right.
100%. Damian had John, and then Tim had Con.
Had Connor. So it was,
and Jason has Bizarro. Which
Jason has Bizarro.
Jason's got Bizarro, so he's got his super too.
I totally forgot about. Yes, yeah, you're right.
They've all got a
and
super.
It totally makes sense.
Yeah, Dick just happens to share his with Bruce. It's fine.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
But also in the current World's Finest run, Dick and Kara are very fun together. That's a good one.
Yeah. See, I haven't. I need to get that new World's Finest. Because I think the first trade's already out.
Keep me up to date on Batman, because Batman Solo makes me frustrated, and I will keep you up to date on what he's doing with the supers, because I love them.
Yeah. Right? But it's just like, because I need to because I love the art for that new book as well.
Oh, it's so
the new
good.
World's Finest book. And I love, anytime Batman is in blue, I'm 100% in.
Yep. Oh, I mean, there's literally an entire scene in that one, too, where, like, Clark is, stuck behind this, like, giant door, as villains do, you know, and Bruce is like banging on it, trying to get him out. And Kara's like, you have to stop. And Bruce is yelling like, no, he needs me. I know he needs me. And Kara's like, I loved him too. And it's like, y'all. And this is not fan fiction. This is the comic.
Yeah. Well, that's how comics start. That's
exactly.
It all starts as fan fiction, right?
Yeah, it's sincerely like them and the whole Trinity dynamic. I just, again, that's what got, the only reason I got into Batman was because I loved the way he worked with Superman and Wonder Woman. And then getting into Batman, I got into the Bat fam, you know, and I got into the Robins. I've always loved the Robins way more than I liked Batman himself.
You know what?
I'm not the biggest Bruce Wayne fan.
It took me, I think it wasn't until Hush came out. Like when Jim Lee took over Batman is when I really started to get into actually Batman.
Yeah.
Because I've always been, like I said, just way more into Dick, way more into Tim. Like I just connected more with them. And I also connect more with Clark Kent as well. So it's just like, you know, growing up on the farm and moving to the city and all that stuff. You know, you connect to these characters.
I didn't do that. I just really like Clark.
Yeah, and I get that too. Like, why? Like, if you don't like Clark, you're the problem.
Right? Like, exactly. Like, don't get me started on the Superman is boring rant. That's for another day.
Yeah. Yeah, we can we'll definitely get into that one. Well, Superman is not boring. Prove me wrong. That'll be
exactly. Like, invite people to debate it. This is the one time I accept your, you know, unwanted comments. Let's go.
Oh yeah, we should totally set up a debate.
Yes.
On our next Friday episode, we'll set up a debate.
Yeah, we should also though touch on, before we just rant about Batman for 1,000 years, but also yes, the Batman definitely made me want to go back and reread the style of comic that it was pulled from, because so good. The Long Halloween. It made Steven and I go back and appreciate The Long Halloween too.
Reread Ego by Darwin Cook.
But yeah, we need to touch on something else that came out of San Diego Comic-Con, and that is R.I.P. the death of the Snyder Verse.
Well, according to Jim Lee, there's no plans for it to move forward. I am absolutely okay with it.
Yeah, and also not surprised.
You've got the guy who plays the Flash is wanted by the police. Ray Fisher's done with Warner Brothers. Like he's done. Like there's
I'm pretty sure Henry Cavill is just bored of being Superman.
No, he's mentioned he wants to come back as Superman, but I
missed that. Okay.
Well, we'll see where that goes. And people are just like, he can't do Superman without Zack Snyder, and it's just like, well, he did Suicide Squad without David Ayer.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, like, yeah, they can. I mean, I don't see why not.
I think that was what was so painful about the Snyderverse for me, was how much I loved the casting and then how much the script did not live up to the casting. I'm like, I wouldn't change out, you know, any of those actors. Like, I just would make them say entirely different things.
And act a completely different way. Yeah.
I think that's just, Henry would be allowed to smile for one.
And just like, it's when I see or read or experience Superman, I want to, whenever I'm done with that, whether it's at the movie theater or a comic book or like just even just a whole storyline, like when the storyline's done, I want to come out feeling inspired and wanting to do better. I want to be better.
You should get the warm fuzzies.
Right. I shouldn't leave depressed and confused. Yeah. Right. Being like, well, I know what I'm talking to about with my therapist tomorrow, and it's going to be Man of Steel. Right. It should it shouldn't be that.
Yep. Absolutely. So it's even just the visual of it, the fact that DC is trying to make every comic movie a Batman movie because Batman succeeded. So they're like, but Batman succeeded because it's Batman, because you nailed Batman. You can't just apply the Batman filter to Superman because you just get a bad Superman. Like in Batman versus Superman visually, what I wanted so badly was like, if it was a Superman scene, vivid colors, right? Like the bright and the vivid, his red, like when you see his costume in person, it's so vivid. Like the costume design itself outside of the film, it is a bright blue and a bright red. And in the movie, there are these dull, muted,
I have I know that costume very well, the Cavill costume. I
Oh.
have photos of myself wearing the screen used costume from when I worked on it. So I'll share those on the channel one of these
I
days.
would give my left nut to wear that or the Wonder Woman one. Mostly the Wonder Woman one.
Yeah, the Wonder Woman costume was there too.
Did you wear that one as well?
I threw the bracelets. Oh,
Just the bracelet?
she's so small.
And yet pregnant. First part of that filming. She felt so, they literally put a green screen over her pregnant belly. And as someone who has been pregnant, what the? Good for her.
Yeah, but she's still so small. And then we had Batman's costume there too, but it was like the size of a bearskin rug because Ben Affleck is already like a massive dude, but then they're already adding in like what looks like a fucking foam mattress, camping mattress on top of him. It's like I remember like just trying to put on the leg armor it was the arm armor, and like a mess.
Yeah.
A mess. Like it's
but a glorious mess.
Yeah, his armor just like
yeah, but like Steven said, Gal, she gained weight to play Wonder Woman, which again, there's no body shaming on this channel. Like she is a beautiful, healthy person and good for her, but
yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, what I would not give to wear that outfit. See. Yeah, Batman Forever is your favorite 90s movie.
You know what? It's actually mine as well.
Oh,
I actually feel that Batman Forever is closest to the comics than any of the other ones from the 90s were. And
up until the Batman, really.
And when I watched Batman Returns and Batman Forever, this was like everything feels like a few years ago because COVID wiped away like 5 years.
Yes,
but this was like I guess now it would be like almost 10 years ago. I watched Batman Forever and Batman Returns. Like I watched them like back to back, and they blend very, very well, and more than I think people would give it credit for. It's that jump from like if you watch Batman Returns and then watch Batman and Robin, you'd be like, what is going on? But right, it's very jarring. But it's like it's even still jarring going from Batman Forever to Batman and Robin. But I mean, like that's a whole other thing. I can get into the whole making of Batman and Robin and what happened there. But it's like
and what didn't happen there.
And what didn't happen there. But I still think Batman Forever's got one of the best soundtracks ever.
Oh yeah. I need to go back and I am so bad when it comes to that whole era of like the 90s Batman films because Steven and I just rewatched them recently too, and I think it's because whenever I watch them, I feel like I always binge them. I always like watch a ton of them back to back instead of watching them separately. So then I always have just this big muddled memory of all of them, and like the only one that really stands out is of course Batman and Robin. That's the one where I'm like, I know you were something else.
And it's funny too because it's like Batman, like it's like I remember the hype for Batman '89, like that summer. I remember it so well. It's like so ingrained in me. But like there was like the Batman Returns they didn't have the hype there, but I remember being very excited for it because Catwoman. I think at that point too, Batman Returns, it's like when my hormone monster came knocking at the door and was like, "Hey, you like that? You like that, don't you?" It's like, "Oh shit!"
You like the leather cat suit?
Yeah, you like that? A little bit of damage, a little bit of darkness.
That was definitely still in my phase of, do I want to be her or do I want her?
Yeah,
confusing time period in my life.
Right?
Turned out it was both. Shocker.
Right? And so but I remember that hype too, like Batman Returns. But then all of a sudden, like there was this weird turning point of like Batman Forever, and I don't know if it was just the marketing being so good for Batman Forever, or if it was just like, and I think part of it too was we're finally getting Robin, and me being so huge into Robin at that point. And I remember like, in the 90s, if you're a teenager and you're reading comics, it wasn't cool at all. And I remember like I had like my circle of friends in which I could be like, oh fuck yes, Robin. And but like you can't really like go to school and be all like, fuck yeah, Robin. You can't. Like there was a lot of comics I read in high school that I would never like just I'll leave those ones at home, but I'll carry my X-Men around with me because
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm
X-Men's
gonna
X-Men's
throw my husband under the bus a little bit here. I know when he was in high school, he literally had Batman comics that he hid under his mattress. And that was like his pretty secret, was that he was this like massive Batman nerd.
right. Right, but like in high school though too, like it's crazy I ever dated in high school. Like when I think about it, I think it was just me at one point just stopping giving a shit. Like, there was just a
Yeah.
point where I just like, fuck, I just don't care who knows anymore. Because like my posters went from like trying to be cool things to like Fantastic Four. I had like a 90s like Wonder Woman poster. And we were
Oh,
talking about this
nice.
earlier off the air. It's like one of those Wonder Woman posters where it's like she has no intestines. That
Yeah.
back is like
Yep,
bent
the
in half.
waistline is here.
It's like Diodoto's like earliest work. So it's very
Steven
like
is very passionately correcting me that it was under his bed frame, not his mattress.
oh,
Sorry,
thank
that
you.
makes a huge difference. You're right. My bad, hun.
Yeah, you're right. It won't bend the comics under the mattress. You're right. So it's just like, so yeah, like I remember like there was like a time where I just said screw it. Had Gen 13 posters, had Wonder Woman, had Fantastic Four. Because again, Fantastic Four 2 is like you don't tell people you read Fantastic Four. Like it was such a dork book because it was all about like science and adventure.
Yeah. See, I never got a gauge when I was in school of what comics were cool and what wasn't. Because all of my friends were like anime manga fans. And that's kind of how I've been, even like
Right.
for the past, like, 6 years or whatever. Like I've always, I think that's why this podcast was or this show, whatever you want to call it, was such a big deal to me. Because I just have not had people to talk about DC Comics with. Because most of the people I've met who were also into DC Comics were kind of assholes,
Right. I believe it. I like, and again, it's like you hear all the horror stories at cons, right? Like, women can't show up without some douchebag quizzing them.
Oh yeah, I remember my first Emerald City with Steven back when we were first dating. I just we were dressed as Red Hood and Nightwing, and got all this shit. Like I kept getting stopped with like comments that were unnecessary, the quizzing, the everything. And we had been at that. It was like for like half a day before Steven just turns to me and he's like, I can't believe this is real life. Like, I cannot believe how much I have had to watch you deal with in like the 4 hours that we have been here. And I'm just like, yeah.
This is I don't know if it's getting any better. It's just like because again I don't like now I've got.
I'm finally where you're at. It has not gotten better. I've just stopped giving a shit.
Yeah, I guess right because it's just I guess you kind of have to because like for me I just like I've kind of stopped even like cosplaying at conventions because it's like I've also noticed too as a guy when I stopped cosplaying at conventions the writers and artists actually talk to me a bit more.
Yeah,
it's really weird where it's like the opposite for women where women come in and cosplay. It's like
it shouldn't have to be that way, but some people
it shouldn't have to be that way. It is, but whatever. And I just kind of like so now I just kind of go casual and I go with my books I want to get signed and then just strike up a conversation and then I just kind of leave it at that. And it's just like and two, it's actually kind of nice going casual.
Oh my gosh, yes it is.
Man, you don't realize how hard costumes are and how much work they are until you stop doing it and you're just kind of like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, I know that you and I are both going to be at Emerald City Comic Con, and I'm already looking at what I may or may not be wearing for that one, and I'm tired. I'm pre-tired. I haven't even decided yet, and I'm already tired.
Right. Yeah, I'm probably not going to dress up because
it's like you.
Well,
honestly,
it's middle of summer.
Yeah,
it's going to be.
I mean, I know they're trying to get it back to spring, but it's
right.
This is our transition year.
I always found that like we were always pretty lucky with Emerald City Comic Con weather. Like it was very like if it rained, we never got like that crazy downpour, the crazy storms. I can't really even think of a time where it was just like, oh, this is gross. Like,
yeah. And even if it is, it's been like for a day. It's never been an entire weekend.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, and so, but now it's just like the idea of like doing a costume in the heat is just like, nope.
I know. My tolerance has dropped so much. I like get dressed up, like get some photos, and I'm like, and now I'm changing for the rest of the day. Sorry
Yeah.
if you missed it.
Yeah, that's a see, but you could always wear Wonder Woman at any point in time, and you're probably going to be like way more comfortable.
Just love her so much. It's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I don't care how uncomfortable. I don't care whether she's comfortable or not. Wonder Woman is just that's my girl.
That's
anyway. It's back to our Batman podcast.
Yes. Right, but no, we were I'm trying to remember where we left off, even with Batman. But we were talking like about the movie
Snyder Verse, I think.
Like,
yeah,
in Snyder Verse.
And so, right. Like moving forward. So my question is, do you still want to see them try and push this, like what Marvel has done, the overlapping movies, the like overarching story, or do you want to just see DC focus on good individual films?
If they can make a crossover work somehow, like with the Suicide Squad, for instance.
Yeah.
If they can make that work, or with Peacemaker as well, if they can make it work and it's good, then good. I mean, like, I'm not gonna like say no. But at the end of the day, and this goes with Marvel as well, and I'm just going to flat out say it. Like, I don't want to have to watch movies from, like, forever ago. Like, and I understand that that's what comics are as well, where sometimes things come up and you have to go back 10, 20 years to find out what that one issue was. Where, you know.
And there's a little note in the corner that says, please reference, like, you know, blah, 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 issue, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like,
right.
I have homework. You're like, I have homework to read this comic.
And it's funny because people call me and be like, do I have to watch such and such? Do I have to watch Thor to watch this? Do I have to watch, do I have to watch this to watch this? And you could tell, like, when people are asking that, they're over it already.
They already don't want to. Yeah.
I think people need to do with a lot of comic movies, which I'm totally fine with crossovers. But when people are when characters are having their own individual movies, they need to be able to stand alone. And I think that's why some of the earlier Marvel stuff, like Winter Soldier, we'll just bring that one as an example. That's why that one works so well. And with the Batman now also kind of like spreading its wings a little bit, we are getting that Penguin series on HBO Max.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Right?
I'll be hopeful. I'll give it a chance.
Oh, I am stoked.
Yeah?
Bring it on. So I'm just kind of like, if they're already going to start expanding that universe as well, to the point where, like, you might have to watch the Penguin in order to get maybe a reference that's happening in the Batman 2, then, I mean, we're already kind of getting there. And I'm kind of hoping that, like, the Batman starts to kind of, like, slowly weave in his own DC universe.
Yeah. I feel like he is set up so perfectly for a world's finest with Superman too. Like an actual proper, like, world's finest dynamic.
Right. Correct. And you know what? And I still think if they wanted to retcon all the other Superman stuff, kind of like what they did with Suicide Squad, where they just kind of retconned the first movie.
Yeah,
James Gunn just went for it.
That didn't happen.
Yeah. And people love the Suicide Squad. Well, I know I love the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's like, is it better than the other stuff DC was trying to do?
So if they decide to get a new director, still bring in Cavill, because he wants one more shot at Superman to do it right. He's mentioned it.
And I'm more than happy to give it to him.
I am more than happy to see him.
There was a comment earlier. Someone said that Henry Cavill was going to be at the Black Adam panel tomorrow. So
we'll see, right?
Yeah.
And if that's the case
too, like casting. I loved him.
And again, if he's going to be, if Black Adam is also going to open up another separate pocket as well, like where that whole like Justice Society, if like, you know, with Hawkman and, you know, Atom Smasher and all them, if they're all going to like Dr. Fate, like if that's going to open up a whole other side pocket thing that's just going to reboot everything. And we don't know what's going to happen with The Flash, because The Flash could have been a reboot for the entire universe as well. And we still don't. I don't know if that movie's going to come out or not.
Yeah, that's kind of become a big
Yep,
It's a lot of
it
choices to
is.
be made there.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be putting him on the sides of buses anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard too because also the Batman I think is a really good opportunity in Battinson specifically for a live action Robin. And I'm going to be real. I
Yes.
know not everyone feels this way, but I'm going to be salty if the first one they introduce isn't Dick Grayson. Like if they jump to
Oh,
Jason Todd or Tim Drake, I'm going to be pissed.
I don't think they would do that. And I think the way Matt Reeves' universe is set up too, I think the way it feels. Do you remember like when Daniel Craig started playing James Bond, and his first things of James
I
Bond
should
were very
confess right
like,
now that I've never seen a James Bond movie, old or new.
oh, okay, that's fine. It's okay, but this you'll get what I'm
But
saying.
I know what
Regardless.
happened with like Daniel Craig and resetting it, and I know about
Right.
it.
So I kind of feel like they're gonna do kind of like what the Daniel Craig movies did, where it's like he doesn't have the gadgets. He's not. Everything's very like grounded. It's not very like wild and crazy technology. It's just very gritty. And then he eventually becomes that James Bond that a lot of James Bond fans recognize, with the fancy cars that can
Yeah.
fly and transform into a plane.
Get to
He's
build
got
up to
watches
it.
that shoot missiles, right? They'll lead up to that. And I feel like that's what this movie is doing.
I hope
And I
so.
feel like eventually, like again, because the way the Batman feels, it's like I feel like this could be the Batman we see in the blue and yellow oval. Could be the Batman we see
Literally
with
why I
a
wore yellow
Robin.
today. I was like, I know we're not wearing just like Batman merch. And I was like, but I'm going to do yellow because I am a little bit of a sucker for the yellow oval. I am. I know. I still
Me
appreciate
too.
designs that don't have it. I do. But you see it and it just gives you such a superhero moment, you know? It's
It
like,
does.
comics.
Yes. Yeah, and like I said earlier, like that's my favorite Batman: the blue, the gray, the yellow oval, the bright yellow belt.
So good.
Like give me that. And
Yeah.
it's again, I feel like Matt Reeves, like this is like because it's his whole, even his costume still feels very new. Like he's not
Yeah.
there yet. Everything's still kind of like big. He's got to like to make himself like to make the cape work to fly. He's got to like zip himself up in a parachute
Even
and
his
go.
like fighting style from the beginning of the movie to the end, like you watched him in the very beginning, like just coming in and like talking shit and being weird, then in the very end, like behaving so differently, like when he enters that club, you know, and
Yes.
it was great. Like he would be such a good thing to get an actual young Dick Grayson too, you know.
Yes. I would. He doesn't even have to be Robin right away.
Yeah,
Even if they brought him in and he takes in this 12-year-old,
yeah.
this orphan 12-year-old.
Even if they upped it to 14, I'll take 14.
I'll take 14. Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a kid.
Yeah.
14's a kid.
Right.
Sorry,
And just
14-year-olds, if you're watching and you feel very grown.
yeah.
14's a kid.
14's a kid. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I would love to see that kind of dynamic as well, and where this he sees this
Yeah.
potential and he sees this anger inside of him that's not getting.
Yeah,
He's trying to help
because
him
that
cope in the
is,
most unhealthiest way.
again, not to critique any current DC authors, but I do think something that over the years that modern DC has lost a little bit with Nightwing is his temper. Like people, I feel like always talk about Jason Todd as like the angry Robin. I'm like, Jason Todd is emotional. He is emotional. He does have outbursts. He's very passionate, but he doesn't have a temper in the way Dick does. Like Jason gets like overwhelmed and things and he has outbursts, but like Dick gets pissed. Dick is honestly the angry Robin. So like
Yeah.
give me like a pissed off teenage Dick Grayson.
Right. Like we've seen him and Batman literally scream it out.
Oh yeah. He's the one
Right?
who comes in and is like that's why he and Bruce have like the dynamic that they have, is because Dick is the one who comes in and sets him straight by just screaming at him for an hour.
Yep. Or just even like being just straight up front with him.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's one of the
Exactly.
best. That's one of my favorite parts in Hush is when the Nightwing issue, and he's in the backseat of the Batmobile. And he's like, "So, Selena, huh?" And he's like, and Bruce is talking his head like, "Only he can talk to me like that." No, like
only Dick Grayson.
yeah, right. And it's so true because it's just like, and and to go back to Tim again too, because again we're talking a lot about Tim, and it kind of shows how Tim is just kind of like. I shouldn't say like a good soldier, but he is just a little more like when Batman says, "You're staying home tonight in the cave," Tim
has
just
more
kind of
hero
goes,
worship for Batman.
okay.
Yeah,
You know,
because well,
I'll
I mean,
do
Tim
that.
came in like Tim was a fanboy, like just straight up. He was a Batman fanboy, and that never really went away. Whereas
Right.
Dick did not give a flying hoot about Batman. He just wanted to, like avenge his parents because
That's
he was an
right.
angry kid. And then after that, he just kept going in his little green panties, his little
Yeah.
pixie boots.
I would love to see. I know they did it in Batman Forever where they made that the costume for the Flying Graysons.
Yes.
But I would not be opposed if they just did that again for Matt Reeves. If they just did that costume again as their trapeze
Absolutely.
costume.
I mean, it was supposed to be a nod to his trapeze days anyway.
Right. So do it.
No reason not to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would still like it if it was a little, like, obviously not the panties and the pixie boots, but more color. I just feel like I get it. Batman is grimdark. Batman is always going to be grimdark. But why does everyone around him have to be
correct
all the time?
So I'm with you on that too. And like, even if they kind of go like, they don't want to give him the booty shorts and pixie boots,
which I guess,
again, I have no problem with that. And again, that just could be that could be just me embracing what comics are. But I mean, if they're trying to make Robin more appealing to a modern audience, and they do go with that Tim Drake style costume, I just kind of hope whatever they do, they still give him like the bare elbows.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe not have him like dive into a gunfight.
Right.
But like, Robin's kind of also there to create distractions.
Yeah.
So that Batman could go in behind
and
like
flippy and puns. If he doesn't say holy blank Batman at some point, what was the point? No.
What was the point? You have to take a nod to that at some point. And you're right. I would love to see
or just
Robin
a pun.
again.
Just a pun of any kind. And, please.
And here's the best part is that they don't kill their villains off in the Matt Reeves universe.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to snap anyone's neck to get the point, right? You can they kept everyone alive. There's already established other villains, clearly. So, I would love to see Riddler come back at some point, and Robin's the one solving riddles.
Yeah, that would be cool. I also think that it would be a really great opportunity to cast Robin. Like, he doesn't necessarily have to be white. I mean, especially like as a kid in a traveling circus. Like, I always loved, the concept of Dick being like possibly Romanian heritage, or something else. So it's like, that's an opportunity because it doesn't change his character. If anything, it actually makes more sense for his character, that he would have a different heritage, considering his background. So I think that casting wise, that's a cool opportunity too.
Absolutely. I will always say this, that the white characters in comics can always be replaced because their race never defines them. So it's always a good opportunity that you can, like, if they change Dick Grayson's race, if it's going to make it things like they did it with Gordon, it didn't even change. And I didn't even blink.
No,
because it still felt like I was watching Commissioner Gordon. In fact, he's probably the best Commissioner Gordon we've ever had.
Oh, he's fantastic. And that means if we get Babs, guess what she's going to look like?
Correct.
Correct. Right? And it'll still be Babs.
It'll still be Babs. So, again, if they want to go like full on, like if they make him white, fine, they make him white. If they make him Latino, they make him Latino. If they make him Asian, they make him Asian. But end of the day, I just want it to feel like I'm watching Dick Grayson.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's just, please give us tiny, angry, punny Dick Grayson. DC, we're begging you.
Yep. Get and have him be like good at like parkour and all that kind of stuff too. Like, to me, it just makes.
Oh my gosh, I want him to be so flippy. He has to be flippy.
Yes.
Just a little.
Like, there should be. The one thing I love about parkour, which I always find funny, is there's always unnecessary flips, and that's
what I want for him. I want him to be unnecessary. Yeah. Well, that's why he had like the shorter cape and all that stuff, is because he's like out here doing this stuff where a big old cape like drags him down. That's why his Nightwing costume is so streamlined always. Like, for me, the reason I think he has that is because like he is unnecessarily flippy. Like, he's a showman. Dick Grayson is a showman at his core.
Yes.
He's a performer.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's exactly it. I love it. I love it.
That's our circus boy.
And have you read? Because I don't know what you've read and what you haven't read. Have you read the run where he's Batman and Damian's his Robin?
Oh yeah, I've read anything with Damian Wayne in it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good to know. And so
I will say, when people want to get into Damian Wayne, I suggest starting. That's the 2009 Batman and Robin, I think, was when that started.
Oh my God, has it been that long?
So I suggest was that because Damian Wayne's real introduction, like the short crossover event they did, where it was like literally like one issue and a bunch of different runs that all like you had to like track them down like an Easter egg hunt. It was obnoxious, and it was
what have I done with my life?
Written. I'm sorry to every person who was involved in the introduction to Damian Wayne event. It was awful. When people say they hate Damian Wayne, that they like started that and then stopped, I'm like, valid. I'm like, please give 2009 Batman and Robin, Dick and Damian a chance and call that your start, because wow, that was awful.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that too, because again, we all hated Damian, but it wasn't until Frank quietly took over and started doing that Batman and Robin series with Dick Grayson as Batman, where the roles are flipped. It was so good. But I also love that Dick talks about like complains to Alfred like, God, this cape, I can't move with this cape.
It was a good Damian, and it was such a good Dick. And for me, who again was like never really even the biggest Bruce Wayne fan, I was like, this is a Batman, okay.
Yep, and I that's still one of my favorite runs of Batman ever, is when Bruce Wayne's not even Batman.
Yeah,
and just how you watch them kind of like grow together and love each other like brothers, and
honestly, Dick is pretty much Damian's dad at this point, like more so than Bruce in a lot of ways. He's basically, I mean, there was literally, I forget which run it was in, but there's a scene later after Dick has gone back to being Nightwing and Damian comes to visit him. It might even be in the Tom Taylor Nightwing run. I'm not sure. I don't think it is. But they're talking to each other and Dick tells him, you know, when I left Gotham, I seriously considered taking you with me, because he knows what Bruce is like as a dad figure and a mentor. Like, look what it did to him, Jason and Tim. None of them came out all right. Like, as someone who loves them, none of them came out all right. And he literally he's like, I was thinking of taking you with me. And Damian's like, really? And they're like about to talk more about it. Then a villain shows up and they don't talk about it again. But Dick straight up says like, yeah, I almost just like took you from him and adopted you.
Yeah, and I think too, like when you talk, because again, like you were talking about earlier, just to go back to it, and you're talking about Damian's transcripted future. Like, if you have Dick Grayson as your father figure, that's not the direction your life is going to go.
And I'm honestly bored with the idea of an evil Damian, because they have done such a good job in developing his character. Like, it's boring. I like evil Damian is boring. Like, he was a bratty, like, demonic child. Oh, and now he's going to turn up and be a bratty, demonic adult. I'm like, he was 10.
Yeah.
Like, he really, like, decided that this bratty 10-year-old was evil because he was a bratty 10-year-old. Like, have you ever met a child? I have for sure met children where I'm like, you are a sociopath. You are a straight up 8-year-old sociopath. And if they had the physical ability, I am confident they would have murdered me. So I'm like, you just like, and then they do such a good job of developing him. Like, well, now I'm just annoyed that you're going to put him through all this development and then what, like have him flip because Dick dies or something? Like, that's boring. I'm bored.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you on that. And it's just like, you want to see your characters grow.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's not going to be,
what is it? The run, Deceased, the run that they have right now where he's Batman. That's a really fun characterization for an adult Damian. I like that one. Yeah,
I like the idea of Damian becoming Batman.
Yeah.
Right? Even if,
and
like,
actually being a softer Batman than his dad, honestly.
I think so too. And what would be, because we always know Damian and Tim are always going to butt heads, which is great. I'm totally fine with that. But I also like the idea, like, if they stuck to their guns with, like, Tim would never give up the Robin mantle and was still Damian's Robin.
Dude, I love
they
that.
Were partners as like older adults, where it's like, you know,
honestly,
like,
between
Damian's
the two of them,
30 and Tim's 35.
Yeah. Tim is the cold one. Like Damian is emotional. And because I think that's what a lot of people didn't pick up on Damian's characterization. Damian did not enjoy murder. Damian enjoyed praise. And he associated praise with murder. And then that's why he grows much in the Bat fam, because he realizes, oh, murder does not no longer equals praise. Like that's what Damian's core is he wants to be accepted and praised. And if you tell him, hey, not murder is good, he goes, oh.
Right. And then, or and it depends on who's telling him that too, right? Like I remember it's like, you know, you're not my father. I don't need your praise. I'll kill who I want. And it's just
exactly.
You know, it's
and then
that
now
was
you
always
have
the dynamic.
Yeah, and at the end of his current Robin run is wrapping up now, which again is sad because I actually did really enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie, I was mad at first. I gave it a chance. I really enjoyed it. But I think it's really cool because he gets to this place where he's in this moment with Talia and Bruce, and they're both arguing over him. Talia's saying I'm taking him back to the league, but we're gonna change it and make it better. And Bruce is like, the fuck you are, I'm taking him home. Yeah. And Damian actually, I made a tweet at one point because I was able to do the parallel from the first time you meet Damian, and it's and I don't even know if the artist did this on purpose, and if they did, kudos to them. But it's this beautiful parallel from back when you first meet Damian, and it's that panel where Talia and Bruce are standing and arguing, and you see his tiny little face in between them at the bottom of the panel, just and then there's another panel in this one where it's the same thing, but now Damian is taller. And instead of looking angry, he looks sad. And then the next few panels are Damian actually telling them off, saying okay, but what about I make a choice for me this time? You two have been fighting over me for the past 4 years. How about I make a me call? And it's really cool. And I don't want to see that Damian just become a devil Batman.
Right.
This is a really brilliantly written growth and really, really cool setup.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm 100% with you on that. But we have already been at this for an hour.
Got me talking about Damian. That's what happened.
That's what happens. No, this has been great. I love this. But we are going to be. We're gonna quickly wrap up here. Just let you guys know we are. We're gonna be back on Wednesdays. We're gonna do. It's gonna be what? Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, it's gonna be 3 Wednesdays and a Friday.
Correct. So that's how we're gonna do it. And it's, and expect a lot of things coming up. So just to give you a quick forecast, we've got lots of different discussion topics going across the board when it comes to Batman. Because again, we've got 80 years of Batman material to across all mediums. There's a lot on the way. We're also going to go on, we're also going to be on Lexi's Twitch. I'll let her plug that in one quick second. We're hoping that we can both get PS5s in time. For October, we're going to do game nights with Gotham Knights as well. So we want to do that together, talk more. We could talk, the Bat family forever. And I think, you know what? The playing a video game where you're nothing but the family, I think would be a lot of fun. So
and some of those designs too. I'm ready to appreciate and rip them apart. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And right before I just go right back to you quickly, and then you'll find me on Tuesday nights as well outside of here on Yes Have Some podcast channel, Toy Anxiety every Tuesday night at 6:30 Pacific. So, and you'll find me there, and then you'll also find me again here 7:30 Pacific on three Wednesdays and a Friday. So please set your notifications so you don't miss an episode. If you like this, please hit like. Please leave a comment. If there's anything you want us to talk about, leave us a comment on the video. And you know what? We'll probably get right to it. Lexi, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, you can find me here. You can find me pretty much across social media under some form of Lexi the First. The weeks where we are here Friday is because I am on Gen Con TV that Wednesday playing Dungeons and Dragons on Actoroki. So if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, you can find me there. But yeah, that's about it. If you see us at a con, come say hi.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, please come say hi, because we'll be dressed up nice and we're gonna look like news, we're important, like we're supposed to be there.
That's how I dress every day of my life. I don't live in t-shirts.
Correct. This is me every day.
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon, lounging on the couch, eating wings. This is it. This is me.
Yeah, you can tell by the lack of being fit up that I definitely wear this all the time.
Correct. Yeah. So thank you everyone that tuned in. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed our first episode. And yeah, we'll see you. It's funny. It's already Friday, so we'll see you after the weekend in a few days.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk more about San Diego Comic-Con and some of the other news, because we didn't even get to Tom King's other news. He had a big comic
That's
book
right.
announcement today. So we didn't even get to that. But so we're going to get to that on Wednesday, and I can't wait. And yeah, that's it. Any final comments, Lexi?
No, I'm just keep coming back. We got more to talk about. I'm excited.
Awesome. Perfect. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll hopefully see you all very soon.
Right. Hey, night.
Good night.